Hello, everybody. It's Thursday, and that means we're doing another day on Inktober. And today's day is number 10. We're here on day 10 of Inktober, guys, and I've still not run out of ideas because we've got another prompt for us, and today's prompt word is pattern. I thought today we'd do something completely relaxing, and we'll do something a bit more less having to draw a character or having to draw a scene or something like that. So today we're just going to be doing a pattern, well, I'll show you in a moment what I'll be doing. But first, I'll show you what we've already gotten up to, because day 1 was Ring, day 2 was Mindless, day 3 was Bait, day 4 was Freeze, day 5 was Build, day 6 was Husky. Day 7 was Enhanced. Day 8 was Frail. And yesterday's day 9 was Swing. And I couldn't think of anything else other than to draw this particular page out of one of my favorite graphic novels and comic books that I've got. If you want to learn how to draw like this, then feel free to go and check that one out in the video if you missed today. All videos are available from Inktober. They are in the Inktober playlist. But if you want to check out any of the other drawings that I get up to, trust me, there are a few. Go into the Creation Station playlist, where you can also find some VR games and also a whole load of Polymer Clay makes and a load more stuff. But that was yesterday. Today's pattern. Like I said, we're going to have a bit of a more of a relaxing thing. I'm going to be just basically drawing shapes and seeing what I can make out of shape. Not really sure if I should do little boxes, little box here. So we'll have like a box sort of along here, and then we'll section it down the middle and do maybe another one here, and see how many different ways we can do a different pattern with using maybe the first row. We'll do the first two. We'll have we'll have squares, and then in the next one we'll have triangles, and the next one we'll have circles maybe. So we'll do it like that. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds like a good idea. What do you think? But first we've got to section stuff out. I am going to be listening to another audiobook. I couldn't really find anything to do with patterns because I try and keep a reference each time I do that. Couldn't really find anything to do with patterns. So I've got something else just with the word pattern sort of linked towards it. It's quite gripping. So if you're under the age of probably 15 to 16, you may find it a little bit boring. But if you do, you can always leave a comment in the section and to ask me to put some music on or anything like that. But I like to listen to an audiobook when I draw, especially on the Inktober, because it gives me time to think about stuff and sort of just get on with it. Normally, it's most of the time I've got a reference. I have got no reference whatsoever today. I'm going to be, yeah. Oh, good job I changed all that. If you want me to listen to any music, or if you want to change it, then let me know. But otherwise, we're going to have pretty much a relaxing day today. And we're going to be sort of chilling out a bit, listening to an audiobook and just doodling away. Because I feel like doodling. I don't feel like doing a whole scene or a picture or a thing. I'm just going to be doing sections of sections and doing that. So if you do enjoy it, guys, my name's Blut084, BLUT 084, BLUT 084 Art and Games. I'm here every single day on YouTube, occasionally on Mixer, but every day and night over on Instagram. If you want to leave me a message, you can go over there. And if you want to see any of the other pictures in a bit more of a close-up, you go over to Instagram, because every day I put out a post either telling you what I've drawn or just giving you a how-to and show. Otherwise, enjoy the playlist and enjoy the audio. And
1. The website of Dreadful Night. 5 hours New York jet lag, and Case Pollard wakes in Camden Town to the dire and ever-circling wolves of disrupted circadian rhythm. It is that flat and spectral non-hour, awash in limbic tides, brainstem stirring fitfully, flashing inappropriate reptilian demands for sex, food, sedation, all of the above, and none really an option now. Not even food, as Damien's new kitchen is as devoid of edible content as its designer's display windows in Camden High Street. Very handsome, the upper cabinets faced in canary yellow
Only using
laminate,
pen because
the
it's
lower
Inktober,
with
guys. So I
blackberry
haven't used a
stained
pencil
apple
once
pie.
throughout this
Very
week.
clean and almost
We're in the
entirely
second week now,
empty, save for a
and
carton
yeah,
containing
not one
2
pencil
dry
has touched
cups of
this
vintage
pad.
mix and some
Normally
loose
I've got
packets of herbal tea.
normally
Nothing at
sketch
all in
things
the
out
German fridge,
and
so
then ink
new
them,
that
because
its
on a Monday is
interior
always
smells
sketch day.
only of coal and
Tuesday is
long-chain
always
liners.
inking day,
She
and
knows now, absolutely.
Wednesdays
Hearing the white noise that
is
London.
the day of
But
colour.
Damien's theory of jet lag is correct. That her mortal soul
I really need to get a
behind
ruler.
her, being
That'll
reeled
do.
in on some
Another day, we're only
vehicle
scoobly
down the
doobling today.
vanished wake of the plane that brought her
Like I said, we're going to do
hundreds
squares
of thousands of
and
feet
circles
above
and
the
then
earth.
triangles, and maybe
Soul
actually in the bottom we'll try and combine maybe more than just one kind of shape. But first, let's draw a
She
load
wonders
of
if this gets gradually worse
circles
with
and squares.
age,
What should we
the
do
nameless
first?
hour deeper, more null, its effect at once.
I'm going to get something a bit
and less
smaller
interesting.
so I can use that as a ruler.
Numb here in the semi-dark in Damien's bedroom, beneath a silvery thing the color of oven mitts, probably never intended by its makers to actually be slept under. She'd been too tired to find a blanket. The sheets between her skin and the weight of this industrial coverlet are silky, some luxurious thread count, and they smell faintly of, she guesses, Damien. Not badly, though. Actually, it's not unpleasant. Any physical linkage to a fellow mammal seems a plus at this point. Damien is a friend. Their boy-girl Lego doesn't click, he would say. Damien is 30, Case 2 years older, but there is some carefully insulated module of immaturity in him, some shy and stubborn thing that frightened the money people. Both have been very good at what they've done, neither seeming to have the least idea of why. Google Damien and you will find a director of music videos and commercials. Google Case and you will find Cool Hunter. And if you look closely, you may see it suggested that she is a sensitive of some kind, a dowser in the world of global marketing. Though the truth, Damien would say, is closer to allergy, a morbid and sometimes violent reactivity to the semiotics of the marketplace. Damien's in Russia now, avoiding renovation and claiming to be shooting a documentary. Whatever faintly lived-in feel the place now has, Case knows, is the work of a production assistant. She rolls over, abandoning this pointless parody of sleep, gropes for her clothes. A small boy's black Fruit of the Loom t-shirt, thoroughly shrunken, a thin gray V-neck pullover purchased by the half dozen from a supplier to New England prep schools, and a new and oversized pair of black 501s, every trademark carefully removed. Even the buttons on these have been ground flat, featureless, by a puzzled Korean locksmith in the village a week ago. The switch on Damien's Italian floor lamp feels alien, a different click, designed to hold back a different voltage. Standing now, stepping into her jeans, she straightens, shivering.
Could have been my phone. Let's have a look at that. So, you leaving me a message on there? No, it's just a post.
Triple prong for a species of current that only powers electric chairs in America. Cars are reversed, left to right. Inside, telephone handsets are a different weight, a different balance. The covers of paperbacks look like Australian money. Pupils contracted painfully against sun-bright halogen. She squints into an actual mirror, canted against a gray wall, awaiting hanging, wherein she sees a black-legged, disjointed puppet, sleep hair poking up like a toilet brush. She grimaces at it, thinking for some reason of her boyfriend, who'd insisted on comparing her to Helmut Newton's nude portrait of Jane Birkin. In the kitchen, she runs tap water through a German filter into an Italian electric kettle, fiddles with switches, one on the kettle, one on the socket, blankly surveys the canary expanse of laminated cabinetry while it boils, bag of some imported Californian tea substitute in a large white mug, pouring boiling water. In the flat's main room, she finds that Damien's faithful cube is on but sleeping, the nightlight glow of its static switches pulsing gently. Damien's ambivalence toward design showing here. He won't allow decorators through the door unless they basically agree to not do that they do, yet he holds on to this Mac for the way you can turn it upside down and remove its innards with a magic little aluminum handle. like the set of one of the robot girls in his video, now that she thinks of it. She seats herself in his high-backed workstation chair and clicks the transparent mouse. Stutter of infrared on the pale wood of the long trestle table. The browser comes up. She types fetish.
It's weird hearing stuff like that in an audiobook.
Which Damien,
most of the time, an audiobook's like a century old, so they don't have no clue about mouses and computer and whatever.
A frame grab from number 48 serves as
I say I haven't listened to any recent audiobooks. Anyway,
no characters in view. This is one of the sequences that generate comparisons with Tarkovsky.
Okay, this is
She
really
only
getting
knows
under my hand.
Tarkovsky from stills, really, though she did once fall asleep during a screening of The Stalker, going under on an endless pan, the camera aimed straight down in close-up at a puddle on a ruined mosaic floor. But she is not one of those who think that much will be gained by analysis of the maker's imagined influences. The cult of the footage is rife with subcults, claiming every possible influence. Truffaut, Peckinpah, the Peckinpah people, among the least likely, are still waiting for the guns to be drawn. She enters the forum itself now, automatically scanning titles of the posts and names of posters in the newer threads, looking for friends, enemies, news. One thing is clear, though, no new footage has surfaced. Nothing since that beach pan, and she does not subscribe to the theory that
she's not subscribed.
French footage heads
Shame. Hope you
have
are.
been unable to match it, in spite of countless hours recording pans across approximately similar scenery. She also sees that her friend Parkaboy is back in Chicago, home from an Amtrak vacation, California. But when she opens his post, she sees that he's only saying hello, literally. She clicks respond, declares herself Case P. Hi, Parkaboy, NT. When she returns to the forum page, her post is there. It is a way now, approximately, of being at home. The forum has become one of the most consistent places in her life, like a familiar cafe that exists somehow outside of geography and beyond time zone. There are perhaps 20 regular posters on FFF and some much larger and uncounted numbers of lurkers. And right now, there are 3 people in chat, but there's no way of knowing exactly who until you are in there, and the chat room she finds not so comforting. It's strange, even with friends, like sitting in a pitch-dark cellar, conversing with people at a distance of about 15 feet. The hectic speed and the brevity of the lines in the thread, plus the feeling that everyone is talking at once, at counter purposes, deter her. The cube sighs softly and makes subliminal sounds with its drive, like a vintage sports car downshifting on a distant.
Trying to go for like.
She tries a sip
You
of tea
see the
something,
large and you go smaller,
but it's still
but
too
you
hot.
go as if you're trying. You're sort of going inwards. If you see what I'm trying to say here. So if I
revealing such Damianiana
do
as have
a
survived
line,
the recent remake.
line.
Partially disassembled robots are propped against one wall, 2 of them, torsos and heads, like elfin, decidedly female crash test dummies. These are effects units from one of Damien's videos, and she wonders, given her mood, why she finds them so comforting. Probably because they are genuinely beautiful, she decides. Optimistic expressions of the feminine. No sci-fi kitsch for Damien. Dreamlike things in the dawn half-light, their small breasts gleaming, white plastic shining faint as old marble. Personally fetishistic, though. She knows he'd had them molded from a body cast of his last girlfriend, -2. Hotmail downloads 4 messages, none of which she feels like opening. Her mother, 3 spam. The penis enlarger is still after her, twice, and increase your breast size dramatically. Delete spam. Sips the tea substitute, watches the gray light becoming more like day. Eventually, she goes into Damien's newly renovated bathroom, feels she could shower down in it prior to visiting a sterile NASA probe, or step out of some Chernobyl scenario to have her lead suit removed by rubber-gowned Soviet technicians, who'd then scrub her with long-handled brushes. The fixtures in the shower can be adjusted with elbows, preserving the sterility of scrubbed hands. She pulls off her sweater and t-shirt, and using her hands, not elbows, starts the shower and adjusts the temperature. 4 hours later, she's on a reformer in a Pilates studio in an upscale alley called Neil's Yard, the car and driver from Blue Ant waiting out on whatever street it is. The reformer is a very long, very low, vaguely ominous and Weimar-looking piece of spring-loaded furniture on which she now reclines, doing V position against the footrail at the end. The padded platform she rests on wheels back and forth along tracks of angle iron within the frame, springs twanging softly. 10 of these, 10 toes, 10 from the heels. In New York, she does this at a fitness center frequented by dance professionals, but here in Neal's yard this morning, she seems to be the sole client. The place is only recently opened, apparently, and perhaps this sort of thing is not yet so popular here. There's that mirror world ingestion of archaic substances, she thinks. People smoke and drink as though it were good for you and seem to be in some sort of honeymoon phase with cocaine. Heroin, she's read, is cheaper here than it's ever been, the market still glutted by the initial dumping of Afghani opium supplies. Done with her toes, she changes to heels, craning her neck to be certain her feet are correctly aligned. She likes Pilates because it isn't, in the way she thinks of yoga, meditative. You have to keep your eyes open, here, and pay attention. That concentration counters the anxiety she feels now, the pre-job jitters she hasn't experienced in a while. She's here on Blue Ant's ticket, relatively tiny in terms of permanent staff, globally distributed, more post-geographic than multinational. The agency has from the beginning billed itself as a high-speed, low-drag life form in an advertising ecology of lumbering herbivores. Or perhaps as some non-carbon-based life form, entirely sprung from the smooth and ironic brow of its founder, Hubertus Big End, a nominal Belgian who looks like Tom Cruise on a diet of virgin's blood and truffled chocolates. The only thing Case enjoys about Big End is that he seems to have no sense at all that his name might seem ridiculous to anyone, ever. Otherwise, she would find him even more unbearable than she already does. It's entirely personal, though at one remove. Still doing heels, she checks her watch, a Korean clone of an old-school Casio G-Shock, its plastic case sanded free of logos with a scrap of Japanese micro-bracelet. She is due in Blue Ant's Soho office in 50 minutes. She drapes a pair of limp green foam pads over the footrail, carefully positions her feet, lifts them on invisible stiletto heels, and begins her 10 prehensile. 2. Bitch. CPUs for the meeting, reflected in the window of a Soho specialist in mod paraphernalia, are a fresh fruit t-shirt, her Black Buzz Rickson's MA1, anonymous black skirt from a Tulsa thrift, the black leggings she'd worn for Pilates, black Harajuku schoolgirl shoes. Her purse analog is an envelope of black East German laminate, purchased on eBay, if not actual Stasi issue, then well in the ballpark. She sees her own gray eyes, pale in the glass, and beyond them, Ben Sherman shirts and fishtail parkas, cufflinks in the form of the RAF roundel that mark the wings of Spitfires. CPUs, Case Pollard units. That's what Damien calls the clothing she wears. CPUs are either black, white, or gray, and ideally seem to have come into this world without human intervention. What people take for relentless minimalism is a side effect of too much exposure to the reactor cores of fashion. This has resulted in a remorseless paring down of what she can and will wear. She is, literally, allergic to fashion. She can only tolerate things that could have been worn to a general lack of comment during any year between 1945 and 2000. She's a design-free zone, a one-woman school of anti,
Hell yeah.
whose very austerity
Wherever you want.
threatens to
Worry
spawn
about
its own
anybody else.
cult. Around her, the bustle
Oh,
of
you're not
Soho,
wearing those
a Friday
chinos.
morning
You're not
in the
wearing
building
those
full of
shoes that
boozy
everybody
lunches
wears. You're not
and
wearing
careful
that
chatter
cap.
from all
You're
these
not wearing that
restaurants.
t-shirt.
To
You're
one
not
of
wearing.
which,
You're not wearing.
Charlotte
You haven't
observed,
got particular
"You'll be
laces on
going
your
for an
shoes. Oh my God,
obligatory
you haven't got your
post-meeting
hair in
meeting."
that style.
But she
Sod
feels
off.
herself tipping back down into a miles-long trough of jet lag, and knows that that is what she must surf now, her lack of serotonin, the delayed arrival of her soul. She checks her watch and heads down the street toward Blue Ant, whose premises until recently were those of an older, more linear sort of agency. The sky is a bright gray bowl crossed with raveled contrails, and as she presses the button to announce herself at Blue Ant, she wishes she'd brought her sunglasses. Seated now, opposite Bernard Stone Street, familiar from Blue Ant's New York operation, she finds him pale and freckled as ever, with carroty hair upswept in a weird Aubrey Birdsley flame motif that might have been the result of his having slept on it that way, but is more likely the work of some exclusive barber. He is wearing what Case takes to be a Paul Smith suit, more specifically,
Here we are.
the 118 jacket.
There's one
and the
simple,
11T
crappy
trouser cut from something
pattern
black.
puzzle thing.
In London, his look seems to be about wearing many thousand
Like I said, I'm not really bothered today. I'm
garments
just
that appear
sort
to
of
have never been
chilling out,
worn before having been slept
doing
with the
doodles.
night before.
It's a really good audio.
In New York, he prefers to look as though he's just been detailed.
My favorite pen.
Scrum of specialists, different cultural parameters. On his left sits Dorothea Benedetti, her hair scraped back from her forehead with a haute nerd in.
Now I'm going to use a circle and see how many circles I can make first.
From previous and minor business
We'll be getting larger to
is
bigger.
something fairly high up in the graphics design partnership of Heinze and Pfaff. She has flown in this morning from Frankfurt to present H&P's initial shot at a new logo for one of the world's two largest manufacturers
circle.
of athletic footwear. Big
I'm not gonna put a circle,
for this maker to
as many circles as I can
but so far
around here.
unspecified way. Sales of athletic shoes, trainers in the mirror world, are tanking big time, and the skate shoes that have already started to push them under aren't doing too well either. Case herself has been tracking the street-level emergence of what she thinks of as urban survival footwear, and though this is so far at the level of consumer repurposing, she has no doubt that commodification will soon follow identification. The new logo will be this firm's pivot into the new century, and Case, with her marketable allergy, has been brought over to do in person the thing that she does best. That seems odd to her, or if not odd, archaic. Why not teleconference? There may be so much at stake, she supposes, that security is an issue, but it's been a while now since business has required her to leave New York. Whatever, Dorothea is looking serious about it, serious as candor. On the table in front of her, perhaps a millimeter too carefully aligned, is an elegant gray cardboard
Fuck that, haven't I?
15 inches on the side, bearing the austere and whimsical logo of Heinze and Pfaff. It is closed with one of those expensively archaic fasteners consisting of a length of cord and two small brown cardboard buttons. Case looks away from Dorothea and the envelope, noting that a great many 90s pounds had once been lavished on this third-floor meeting room with its convexly curving walls of wood, suggesting the first-class lounge of a transatlantic Zeppelin. She notices threaded anchors exposed on the pale veneer of the convex wall, where once had been displayed the logo of whichever agency previously occupied the place. And early warning signs of Blue Ant renovation are visible as
do
well.
what I can do.
Scaffolding erected in a hallway where someone has been examining ductwork, and rolls of new carpeting stacked like plastic wrapped logs from the polyethylene forest. Dorothea
I thought about that. I could have had all of those interlocking, and that would have been a nice puzzle. That would have been a nice.
Dorothea's black dress, for all its apparent simplicity, is still trying to say several things at once. Probably.
Let's see if I can save it, shall we?
Case has hung her Buzz Rixons over the back of her chair, and now she catches Dorothea looking at it. The Rixons is a fanatical museum-grade replica of a U.S. MA-1 flying jacket, as purely functional and iconic a garment as the previous century produced. Dorothea's slow burn is being accelerated, Case suspects, by her perception that Case's MA-1 trumps any attempt at minimalism, the Rixons having been created by Japanese obsessives, driven by passions having nothing at all to do with anything remotely like fashion. Case knows, for instance, that the characteristically wrinkled seams down either arm were originally the result of sewing with pre-war industrial machines that rebelled against the slippery new material, nylon. The makers of the Rixons have exaggerated this, but only very slightly, and done 100 other things, tiny things as well, so that their product has become, in some very Japanese way, the result of an act of worship. It is an imitation more real somehow than that which it emulates. It is easily the most expensive garment Case owns and would be virtually impossible to replace. You don't mind? Stone Street, producing a pack of cigarettes called Silk Cut, which Case, never a smoker, thinks of as somehow being the British equivalent of the Japanese Mild 7, two default brands of creatives. No, says Case. Please do. There is actually an ashtray on the table, a small one, round and perfectly white, as archaic a fixture in America in the context of a business meeting as would be one of those flat and filigreed absinthe trowels. But in London, she knew you might encounter those as well, though she'd not yet seen one at eating. Dorothea? Offering the pack, but not to Case. Dorothea declining. Stonestreet puts a filter tip between his tidally mobile lips and takes out a box of matches that Case assumes were acquired in some restaurant the night before. The matchbox looks very nearly as expensive as Dorothea's gray envelope. He lights up. Sorry we had to haul you over for this, Case, he says. The spent match makes a tiny ceramic sound when he drops it into the ashtray. It's what I do, Bernard, Case says. You look tired, says Dorothea. 4 hours difference, smiling with only the
There's
corners
circles?
of her mouth. Have you tried those pills
do a
from
triangle.
New Zealand? Stonestreet asks.
What should we do with the triangle?
Case remembers that his American wife, once the ingenue and a short-lived X-Files clone, is the creator of an apparently successful line of vaguely homeopathic beauty products. Jacques Cousteau said that jet lag was his favorite drug. Well, Dorothea looks pointedly at the H&P envelope. Stonestreet blows a stream of smoke. Oh yes, I suppose we should. They both look at Case. Case looks Dorothea in the eye. Ready when you are. Dorothea unwinds the cord from beneath the cardboard button nearest Case, lifts the flap, reaches in with thumb and forefinger. There is a silence. Well then, Stonestreet says, and stubs out his silk cut. Dorothea removes an 11-inch square of artboard from the envelope. Holding it at the upper corners between the tips of perfectly manicured forefingers, she displays it to Case. There's a drawing there, a sort of scribble in thick black Japanese brush, a medium she knows to be the in-house hallmark of Herr Heinze himself. To Case, it most resembles a syncopated sperm, as rendered by the American underground cartoonist Rick Griffin, circa 1967. She knows immediately that it does not,
Griffin.
by the opaque standards of her.
Stupid fuck man! Well, I can't do Zoe.
She has no way of knowing how she knows.
Do it!
Briefly,
No,
though,
I
she
can't do it.
imagines the countless Asian workers who might, should she say yes, spend years of their lives applying versions of this symbol to an endless and unyielding flood of footwear. What would it mean to them, this bouncing sperm? Would it work its way into their dreams eventually? Would their children chalk it in doorways before they knew its meaning as a trademark? No, she says. Stonestreet sighs, not a deep sigh. Dorothea returns the drawing to its envelope, but doesn't bother to reseal it. Case's contract for a consultation of this sort specifies that she absolutely not be asked to critique anything or provide creative input of any sort. She's only there to serve as a very specialized piece of human litmus paper. Dorothea takes one of Stonestreet's cigarettes and lights it, dropping the wooden match on the table beside the ashtray. How was the winter then in New York?
Didn't work out as well as I wanted it to either. Oh well.
And sad.
We're having a nice easy day. Just doing the few doodles. Doodles!
You are available to stay here.
You have been devil.
While we go back to the drawing board.
Shut up.
Case wonders if Dorothea knows the
I should go back to the
cliché.
drawing board. These
I'm
are
here for 2
bad.
weeks, she says.
Well, then again,
Flat sitting
is
for
a
friends.
a
vacation then?
is a pattern ever bad?
Not if I'm working on this.
I mean, I don't know. I'm
Dorothea
guessing
says nothing.
yes, because this one's bad.
It must
but-
be difficult, Stonestreet says between steepled, freckled fingers, his red thatch rising above them like flames from a burning cathedral. When you don't like something, emotionally, I mean.
If you don't like something,
watches
you
Dorothea
let it
rise,
go.
carrying
And
her
if it
silk
comes
cut
back,
across
it's
the
yours.
sidewalk,
If it
where
goes
she
away,
pours
you
carrot
know,
into a
it never
tumbler.
was.
It isn't about liking
Isn't it?
anything, Bernard, Case says.
Well,
going back
start
to
with triangles.
school.
We've sort of made a really
It's
shit
like that
box.
roll of carpet there. It's either blue or it's not. Whether or not it's blue isn't something I have an emotional investment in. She feels bad energy brush past her as Dorothea returns to her seat. Dorothea
carry on
puts her
going
wallet
out with
down
triangles?
beside the H&P
A bit of
envelope
bigger
and does a
triangle
rather
here, couldn't I?
inexpert job of stubbing out her cigarette. I will speak with Heinz.
So I'm going to try and end with a star.
I know that he's in Stockholm, meeting with Volvo.
Or
The air
maybe a
seems very
diamond type
thick with
star.
Smoke now, and Case feels like coughing. There's no rush, Dorothea. Stone Street says, and Case hopes that this means that there really, really is.
And then we'll put some doodles inside
Charlie
that.
Don't Serve is full. The food California.
If you wonder why I'm putting a
reflected
dot
eats
each time,
is
it just
fusion
makes so
with
I
more
can
than the usual leavening of colonial French.
use the ruler and get
The white
to the right
walls
place.
are decorated with
Instead of trying to
enormous
guess, oh, that's a
close-up
good
black
place
and
for it
white
to stop.
photographs of non-era Zippo lighters engraved with crudely drawn American military
Look
symbols,
at that.
still cruder sexual motifs, and stenciled slogans. These remind Case of photographs of tombstones in Confederate graveyards, except for the graphic content and the nature of the slogans, and the Nam theme suggests to her that the place has been here for a while. Zippo slogan: if I had a farm in hell and a house in Vietnam, I'd sell them both. The lighters in the photographs are so worn, so dented and sweat corroded, that Case may well be the first dime to ever have deciphered these actual texts. Zippo slogan: bury me face down so the world can kiss my ass. His surname actually.
Hell yeah, that's a good slogan.
Stone Street is saying, pouring a second glass of the California
Bury me face
Cabernet
down
to
so everybody
Case,
can
that
kiss
he
my
knows
ass.
better is drinking. It only sounds like a nickname.
Oh,
Any
I'm
given
sorry having
one,
that
though,
on put on my
long since
tombstone.
gone sour. Ibiza, Case suggests. Sorry, Bernard.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have one of
tired.
these boring tombstones. I'm gonna before I pop off, I'm gonna design
Zippo slogan:
design something
there
to
is
go
no
on it, or at
gravity,
least
the world sucks.
I'll
be fine.
think of something to say. You write this on my tombstone.
piece
If
of
I can't have a
woman, isn't she?
tombstone because of whatever reasons,
Dorothea.
burn me.
Stone Street rolls his eyes, which are a peculiar brown, inflected as if with mercurochrome, something iridescent, greenly copper-tinged. Zippo slogan: 173 Airborne. She asks about the American wife. Stone Street dutifully recounts the launch of a cucumber-based mask, the thin edge of a fresh wedge of product, touching on the politics involved in retail placement. Lunch arrives. Case concentrates on tiny fried spring rolls, setting herself for auto nod and periodically but sympathetically raised eyebrows, grateful that he's carrying the conversational ball. She's way down deep in that trough now, with the half glass of Cabernet starting to exert its own lateral influence, and she knows that her best course here is to make nice, get some food in her stomach, and be gone. But the Zippo tombstones, with their existential elegies, tug at her.
I've got nothing to go do
Zippo slogan:
hexagons with.
food capped. Restaurant art that diners
Hexagons,
actually
octagons,
notice is a
and
dubious
whatever
idea,
else.
particularly to one with Case's peculiar, visceral, but still somewhat undefined sensitivities. So, when it looked as though Harvey Nickers weren't going to come abroad, nod, raise eyebrows, chew spring roll, this is working. She covers her glass when he starts to pour her more wine. And so she makes it easily enough through lunch with Bernard Stone Street, blipped occasionally by these emblematic place names from the Zippo graveyard, Cucci, Quinon, lining the walls. And at last he is paid, and they are standing up to leave. Reaching for her Rixons, where she'd hung on the back of her chair, she sees a round, freshly made hole, left shoulder, rear, the size of the lit tip of a cigarette. Its edges are minutely beaded, brown, with melted nylon. Through this is visible a gray interlining, no doubt to some particular Cold War mil-spec poured over by the jacket's otaku makers. Is something wrong? No, Case says. Nothing. Putting on her ruined Rixons. Near the door, on their way out, she numbly registers a shallow, lucite cabinet, displaying an array of those actual Vietnam Zippos, perhaps a dozen of them, and automatically leans closer. Zippo slogan:
These pants are
blood on
starting
my
to
blade,
mess with my
which is
eyes.
very much her attitude
I'm like,
toward
that'll do
Dorothea
that.
right now,
That'll be right
though
there.
she doubts she'll be
That'll
able
do.
to do anything about it, and will only turn the anger against herself. 3. The attachment. She's gone to Harvey Nichols and gotten sick. Should have known better. How she responds to labels. Down into menswear, unrealistically hoping that if anyone might have a Buzz Rixon's, it would be Harvey Nichols, their ornate Victorian pile rising like a coral reef opposite Knightsbridge Station. Somewhere on the ground floor in cosmetics, they even have Helena Stone Street's cucumber mask, Bernard having explained to her how he'd demonstrated his considerable powers of suasion on the HN buyers. But down here, next to a display of Tommy Hilfiger, it's all started to go sideways on her, a trademark thing. Less warning aura than usual. Some people ingest a single peanut and their head swells like a basketball. What
Peanut.
happens to Case? It's her psyche. Tommy
Yes, I have one right
Hilfiger doesn't at the
here.
time,
Quite
though she
bulky,
thought
but
she
I
was
consider it a
safe
carry-on.
They'd said he'd peaked in New York,
Peanut.
like Benetton. The name would be around, but the real poison for her would have been drawn. It's something to do with context here, with not expecting it in London. When it starts, it's pure reaction, like biting down hard on a piece of foil. A glance to the right, and the avalanche lets go. A mountainside of Tommy coming down in her head. My God, don't they know? This stuff is simulacra of simulacra of simulacra. A diluted tincture of Ralph Lauren, who had himself diluted the glory days of Brooks Brothers, who themselves had stepped on the product of Jermyn Street and Savile Row, flavoring their ready-to-wear with liberal lashings of polo knit and regimental stripes. But Tommy, surely, is the null point, the black hole. There must be some Tommy Hilfiger event horizon beyond which it is impossible to be more derivative, more removed from the source, more devoid of soul. Or so she hopes, and doesn't know, but suspects in her heart that this, in fact, is what accounts for his long ubiquity. She needs out of this logo maze desperately, but the escalator to the street exit will dump her back into Knightsbridge, seeming somehow now more of the same. And she remembers that the street runs down, and always her energy with it, to Sloane Square, another nexus of whatever she suffers these reactions to. Laura Ashley down there, and that can get ugly.
Okay, I'm kind of done with that one. I mean, I want to do more to it, but I want to do another way of doing a puzzle. I'm going to do wavy lines now.
Separate and weirdly modular robotic
See,
sushi operation.
so we can get wavy lines.
And a bar where they served excellent coffee. Caffeine she's held in reserve today.
Oh.
A silver bullet against serotonin
Caffeine.
and big weird feelings. She can go there. There's a lift, yes, a lift. A closet-sized elevator,
Caffeine
small,
affects
but
really
perfectly
bad.
formed. She will find it and use it.
Went into
Now.
my local
She does.
supermarket and
It
bought one of those
arrives
box
miraculously
stuff.
empty, and she steps in, pressing 5.
caramel latte. It's meant to be.
Rather excited. The woman
Interesting.
says breathily
Say that.
as the door closes. Though Case knows she's alone in this.
Rather just kept what I had.
Mirror and brushed steel.
So wavy
Fortunately,
lines.
she's been this way before
Just
and knows that
do-
these disembodied voices are there for the amusement of the shopper. Purrs the male of the species. The only equivalent audio environment she can recall was in the restroom of an upscale hamburger joint on Rodeo Drive years ago, an inexplicable soundtrack of buzzing insects. Flies, it had sounded like, though surely that couldn't have been the intent. Whatever else these designer ghosts say, she blocks it out, the lift ascending miraculously, without intermediate stops, to the 5th floor. Case
Okay, all
pops
I'm
out
seeing
into
right
a
now
pale
is
light
intestines.
Slanting in through much glass. Fewer lunching shops.
Sorry for putting that image in your head, but that's what I'm
On
seeing.
this floor, save on people's backs and in their glossy carrier bags. The swelling can subside here. She pauses by a meat counter, eyeing roasts illuminated like newly minted media faces, and probably of a biologic purity she herself could never hope to attain. Animals raised on a diet more stringent than the one propounded in interviews by Stone Street's wife. At the bar, a few Euro males of the dark-suited sort stand smoking their eternal cigarettes. She bellies up, catching the barman's eye. "Time out?" he inquires, frowning slightly. Brutally cropped, he regards her from the depths of massive, mask-like Italian spectacles. The black-framed glasses remind her of emoticons, those snippets of play school emotional code cobbled up from keyboard symbols to produce sideways cartoon faces. You could do his glasses with an 8, hyphen for his nose, the mouth a left slash. "I'm sorry?" "Time Out, the weekly. You own a panel, ICA." Institute for Contemporary Arts, last time she'd been here, with a woman from a provincial university, lecturer in the taxonomy of trademarking. Rain falling thinly on the mall, the audience smelling of damp wool and cigarettes. She'd accepted because she could stay a few days with Damien. He'd bought the house where he'd rented for several years, fruit of a series of Scandinavian car commercials. She'd forgotten the blurb in Time Out, one of those cool hunter things. "You follow the footage," his eyes narrowing within their brackets of black Italian plastic. Damien maintains, half seriously, that followers of the footage comprise the first true Freemasonry of the new century. Were you there? Case asks, jostled out of herself by this abrupt violation of context. She is not by any means a celebrity. Being recognized by strangers isn't part of her ordinary experience, but the footage has a way of cutting across boundaries, transgressing the accustomed order of things. My friend was there. He looks down and runs a spotless white cloth across the bar top, gnawed cuticle and too large a ring. He told me that he'd run into you later on a site. You were arguing with someone about the Chinese envoy. He looks back up. You can't seriously believe it's him. Him being Kim Hee Park, the young Korean auteur responsible for the film in question, an interminable art house favorite some people compare with the footage, others going so far as to suggest that Kim Park is in fact the maker of the footage. Suggesting this to Case is akin to asking the Pope if he's soft on that Cathar heresy. No, she says firmly. Of course not. New segment. Quick, under his breath. When? This morning, 48 seconds. It's them. It's as though they are in a bubble now, Case and the barman. No sound penetrates. Do they speak? She asks. No. You've seen it? No, someone messaged me on my mobile. No spoilers, Case warns, getting a grip. He refolds the white cloth. A waft of blue gitani drifts past from the Euro males. A drink? The bubble bursts, admitting sound. Espresso double. She opens her East German envelope, reaching for heavy, mirror world change. He's drawing her espresso from a black machine down the bar, sound of steam escaping under pressure. The forum will be going crazy. The first post, depending on time zones, history of proliferation.
Talking about
where the
bars and
segments
stuff, I've
surface.
thought about taking my sketch
It will
pad
prove impossible
to a
trace,
local
either uploaded
bar
via
area
a temporary email
and
address, often from a
sketching
bar
something in
event
it, seeing if they'll
sometimes
let me
via
do a live
temporary
stream from
cell phone
a
number
local
or
area.
through some anonymous. It will have
If
been
you
discovered
like that
by
idea,
footage
guys.
heads
Oh, hi there in the
tirelessly
chat. How are you
scouring
doing?
the
If
net,
you like that
found
idea,
somewhere where it's
definitely let me
possible
know,
to upload
and I'll see if I can
video
get
and simply
like a
recreate
group
it.
of us to sit
He
down and
returns with her coffee
doodle
in a
together.
white cup on a
We'll
white
have a
saucer
live
and
stream
places
with
it before her
a few
on
of
the
us, if
glossy
you like.
black counter.
Or if
Positions
you
a
guys
steel
are
basket
local to me
nearby.
and you know who
Its
I am,
section
if you do
containing
know who
a
I am, let
variety
me
of
know on
colorful
Instagram.
free
We'll
sugars,
maybe do
at
something
least 3
in
pounds.
a collab
Another aspect of the miracle.
via the internet.
Sugar. There
We've
is
always
more.
we've always got
Another main thing
Skype
to
and things like that.
expect
But hi, 1, 2.
She stacked
How you doing?
6 of the thick pound coins on the house. Thank you. The Euro males are indicating a need for fresh drink. He goes to tend to them. He looks like Michael Stipe on steroids. She takes back 4 of the coins and nudges the rest into the shadow of the sugar caddy. Smartly downs her double, sans sugar, and turns to go. Looks back as she's leaving, and he's there, regarding her severely from the depths of black parentheses. Black cab to Camden Tube. Her attack of Tommy phobia has backed off nicely, but the trough of soul delay has opened out into horizonless horse latitudes. She fears she'll be becalmed before she can lay in supplies. On automatic pilot in a supermarket in the high street, filling a basket. Mirror World fruit, Colombian coffee, ground for a press, 2% milk. In a nearby stationer's, heavy on art supplies, she buys a roll of matte black gaffer's tape. Heading up Parkway toward Damien's, she notices a flyer adhering to a lamppost. In rain-faded monochrome, a frame grab from the footage. He looks out as from depths. Works at Cantor Fitzgerald, gold wedding band. Parker Boy's email is text-free. There is only the attachment. Seated before Damien's cube, with the 2-cup French press she bought on Parkway. Fragrant waft of powerful Colombian.
Oh,
She
it's just
shouldn't
nice and
drink this.
relaxing. Not have to worry
It will
about
not so
getting
much
everything
defer
perfect.
sleep as guarantee nightmares, and she knows she'll wake again in that dread hour, vibrating. But she must be present for the new segment. Sharp. Always now,
There we are.
the opening of the
Little
attachment
diddly dillies.
containing unseen footage is profoundly liminal, a threshold state. Parker Boy has labeled his attachment number 135, 134 previously known fragments of what? A work in
Yeah, quick
progress?
zoom in on what I've done so
Something
far.
completed
Again,
years
we've got
ago and
the
needed out now for some reason in these
that
snippets.
simple pattern there with the squares.
She hasn't
We
gone
went
to the
smaller,
forums.
smaller, smaller, and we just went a load of
She wants each new
a load of,
fragment to impact
let's
as
say
cleanly
ticks
as
and
possible.
lines for that one.
Parker Boy says you should go to the
Circles,
new
we
footage
went
as though
around
you've seen no
a
previous footage at all.
lid or something, just made as many
escaping the
circles as
film or
possible, and
films
just
that you've
did
been
little
assembling,
doodles inside that one.
consciously or unconsciously, since
Triangles,
first
we went,
exposure.
started with
Homo
one triangle
sapiens are
and
about pattern recognition,
gone out with
she
more
says.
triangles,
Both
trying to make a
gift
star
and
shape, ended up
trap.
making a box.
She slowly depresses the plunger. Pours
That's
coffee
my
into a mug.
apples. And,
She drapes her
I'll
jacket
show you that
cape
one.
style around the
And we've
smooth
also
shoulders
got,
of one robotic nymph, balanced on its stainless
The one I
pubis.
just did.
The white
This is
torso
kind of like
reclines against
intestines.
the gray wall. Neutral regard.
Or
Eyeless
maybe,
serenity. 5 in the evening, and she can
Uh,
barely keep her eyes
I
open.
don't know, what do you think it is? It's not
Lips a
anything,
cup
just
of black
what do you think it looks
unsweetened
like to you?
coffee.
What patterns are, they're not anything
How many
particular.
times since
They're
the dinner?
just a pattern that turns into
How
something.
long since she gave herself to the dream?
Sometimes they don't turn into anything
Maurice's
other than just being a
expression for
good
the essence of
pattern.
being a footage head. Damien's studio display fills with darkness absolute. It is as if she participates in the very birth of cinema, that Lumiere moment, the steam locomotive about to emerge from the screen, sending the audience fleeing out into the Parisian night. Light and shadow, lovers' cheekbones in the prelude to embrace. Case shivers. So long now, and they have not been seen to touch. Around them, the absolute blackness is alleviated by texture.
I'm going to go straight lines
They are
across
dressed
now.
as they have always been dressed, in clothing Case has posted on extensively, fascinated by its timelessness, something she knows and understands, the difficulty of that. Hairstyles, too. He might be a sailor stepping onto a submarine in 1914, or a jazz musician entering a club in 1957. There is a lack of evidence, an absence of stylistic cues that Case understands to be utterly masterful. His black coat is usually red as leather, though it might be dull vinyl or rubber. He has a way of wearing its collar up. The girl wears a longer coat, equally dark but seemingly of fabric, its shoulder padding the subject of hundreds of posts. The architecture of padding in a woman's coat should yield possible periods, particular decades, but there has been no agreement, only controversy. She is hatless, which has been taken either as the clearest of signs that this is not a period piece, or simply as an indication that she is a free spirit, untrammeled by even the most basic conventions of her day. Her hair has been the subject of similar scrutiny, but nothing has ever been definitively agreed upon. The 134 previously
I hate
discovered
fashion.
fragments, having been endlessly collated,
They're the
broken
pompous
down, and
douchebags.
reassembled by whole armies of the most fanatical investigators, have yielded no period and no particular narrative direction. Zaprudered into surreal dimensions of purest speculation, ghost narratives have emerged and taken on shadowy but determined lives of their own, but Case is familiar with them all and steers clear. And here in Damien's flat, watching their lips meet, she knows that she knows nothing, but wants nothing more than to see the film of which this must be a part. Must be. Above them, somewhere, something flares white, casting a claw of Caligarian shadow, and then the screen is black. She clicks on replay, watches it again. She opens the site and scrolls a full page of posts. Several pages have accumulated in the course of the day in the wake of the surfacing of number 135, but she has no appetite for them now. It seems beside the point. A wave comes crashing, sheer exhaustion, against which the Colombian
Okay, what can I
has
make
no
with this
defense.
one?
She takes off her clothes, brushes her teeth, limbs wooden with exhaustion and vibrating with caffeine, turns off the lights.
You know what, I'm going to
and
go with a
crawls
thicker pen now.
beneath the stiff silver
Colour
spray on
an
Damien's
individual
to curl
maybe do a
there and briefly marvel
check
as a final wave crashes over her.
pattern
At
now.
the perfect and now perfectly revealed extent of her present loneliness.
Okay, that pen's running out. Get the other one.
Math grenades. Somehow she sleeps, or approximates it, through the famously bad hour and into another mirror world morning, waking to an inner flash of metallic migraine light as if reflected off wings of receding dream. Extrudes her head turtle-wise from beneath the giant potholder and squints at the windows. Daylight. More of her soul has been reeled in, it seems, in the meantime, apprehending self and mirror world now in a different modality, accompanied by an unexpected surge of energy that has her out of bed, into the shower, and levering the Italian chromed head to stinging new foci of needle jets. Damien's Renault has involved hot water, lots of it, and for that she is grateful. It is as though she is inhabited now by something single-minded, purposeful, yet has no idea what it plans or wants, but she is content for the moment to go along for the ride. Blow-dry. CPUs include the black jeans. Mirror world milk, which is different, though she couldn't say how, on the Weetabix with a sliced banana. That other part of her, that other self, moving right along. Watching as that part seals over the cigarette burn with black gaffer's tape, the end tooth-torn, a sort of archaic
Funny how I don't get
flourish.
copyright.
Pulls on the Rixons, checks for keys and money,
That's
and descends
that's knackered.
Damien's still
Look at
unrenovated
that.
stairwell
I can't
past
finish
the
that.
tenant's mountain bike and hip-high bundles of last year's magazines.
Yes, I can.
In the sunlit
do
street,
this.
all is still. Nothing moves save the cinnamon blur of a cat, just there and gone. She listens. The hum of London, building somewhere. Feeling inexplicably
Think I've
happy,
messed this
she
puzzle-
sets off down
messed
Parkway
this one up.
toward Camden High Street and finds a Russian in a minicab.
I'm in
Not
Camden
a cab at all,
Town.
really, just a dusty blue Mirror World Jetta. But he will drive her to Notting Hill, and he looks too old, too scholarly, too disgusted by the very sight of her to be much trouble.
Yeah, this
Once
piece
they are
here.
out of Camden Town, she has little idea of where they are. She has no internalized surface map of this city, only of the underground and of assorted personal footpaths spreading out from its stations. The stomach-clenching roundabouts are pivots in a maze to be negotiated only by locals and cab drivers. Restaurants and antique
But
shops
that can be
rotate
fixed.
past,
Give me a minute.
punctuated regularly by pubs. Marveling at the luminous shanks of a black-haired man in a very expensive-looking dressing gown, bending toward the morning's milk and paper in his doorway. A military vehicle, its silhouette unfamiliar, bulk-browed, tautly laced beneath its
There we
tarpaulin.
go.
The driver's
You wouldn't
barrette.
even know I messed it up.
Mirror world street furniture. Bits of urban infrastructure she can't identify by function. Local equivalents of the mysterious water testing station on her block uptown, which a friend had claimed to contain nothing more than a tap and a cup for the judging of potability, this having been for Case a favorite fantasy of alternative employment, to stroll Manhattan like an itinerant sommelier addressing one's palate with the various tap waters of the city. Not that she would have wanted to particularly, but simply to believe that someone could do this for a living had been somehow comforting. By the time they arrive at Notting Hill, whatever rogue aspect of personality has been driving this morning's expedition seems to have decamped, leaving her feeling purposeless and confused. She pays the Russian, gets out on the side opposite Portobello, and descends the stairs to a pedestrian tunnel that smells of Friday night urine. Overly tall Mirror World lager cans are crushed there like roaches. Corridor metaphysics. She wants coffee. But the Starbucks on the other side of the stairs and around the corner is not yet open. A boy inside wrestles huge plastic trays of cellophaned pastries. Uncertain what she should do next, she walks on in the direction of the Saturday market, 7:30 now. She can't remember when the Antiques arcades open, but she knows the road will be jammed by 9. Why has she come here? She never buys antiques. She's in a street of what she thinks are called muse houses, little places, scarily cute, still headed toward Portobello and the market, when she sees them, 3 men, variously jacketed, their collars up, staring gravely into the open trunk of a small and uncharacteristically old Mirror World car. Not so much a Mirror World car as an English car, as no equivalent exists on Case's side of the Atlantic to Mirror. Vauxhall Wyvern, she thinks, with her compulsive memory for brand names, though she doubts that this is one of those, whatever those might have been. As to why she notices them now, these 3, she later will be unable to say. No one else in the street, and there is something in the gravity they bring to their study of whatever it is they're looking down at. Careful poker masks. The largest, though not the tallest, a black man with a shaven head, is zipped like a sausage into something shiny, black, and only approximately leather-like. Beside him is a taller, gray-faced man, hunched within the greasy folds of an ancient Barber waterproof, its waxed cotton gone the sheen and shade of day-old horse dung. The third, younger, is closely cropped and blonde in baggy black skater shorts and a frayed jean jacket. He wears something like a mailman's pouch slung across his chest. Shorts, she thinks, drawing abreast of this trio, are
Messed up
somehow
here,
always
God.
wrong in London.
Don't know what to do.
She can't resist glancing into the trunk. Grenades. Black, compact, cylindrical. 6 of them, laid out on an old gray sweater amid a jumble of brown cardboard cartons. Miss? The one in shorts. Hello? The gray-faced man, sharply impatient. She tells herself to run, but can't. Yes? The Curtis, the blonde one stepping closer. It isn't her, you idiot. She's not bloody coming, the gray one said again, with mounting irritation. The blonde one blinks. You haven't come about the Curtis? The what? The calculators. She can't resist then and steps closer to the car to see. What are they? Calculators. The tight plastic of the black man's jacket creaking as he bends to pick up one of the grenades, turning to hand it to her, and then she is holding it, heavy, dense, knurled for gripping. Tabs or flanges that look as though meant to move in these slots. Small round windows showing white
Fixed
numbers. At the top, something that looks like the crank on a pepper mill is executed by a small arms manufacturer. I don't understand, she says, and imagines she'll wake just then in Damien's bed because it's all gone that dreamlike now. Automatically seeking a trademark, she turns the thing over and sees that it is made in Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein? What is it? It is a precision instrument, the black man said, performing calculations mechanically, employing neither electricity nor electronic components. The sensation of its operation is best likened to that of winding a fine 35mm camera. It is the smallest mechanical calculating machine ever constructed. Voice deep and mellifluous. It is the invention of Kurt Herstock, an Austrian, who developed it while a prisoner in Buchenwald. The camp authorities actually encourage his work, you see. Intelligent slave, his title there. They wished his calculator to be given to the Führer at the end of the war, but Buchenwald was liberated in 1945 by the Americans. Herstock had survived. He gently takes the thing from her, enormous hands. He had his drawings, large fingers moving surely, gently, clicking the black tabs into a different configuration. He grasps the knurling cylinder in his left, giving the handle at the top a twirl, smoothly ratcheting a sum from its interior. He raises it to see the resulting figure in a tiny window. 800 pounds, excellent condition, dropping an eyelid partially to wait for her response. It's beautiful, his offer finally giving her a context for this baffling exchange. These men are dealers, come here to do business in these things.
Because I've been watching
But
The
I
Dark
wouldn't know
Crystal
what to
lately,
do with
guys. I've seen this
You had
pattern,
me out for nothing, you silly
and it
cunt,
kind of.
snarls the grey man, snatching the thing from the black.
You reckon I should try drawing that?
The case knows.
It's got a skull in there. It's got a triangle, and that is, if you haven't seen,
just then like a
is
scary
on
portrait of
Netflix now.
Samuel Beckett on
If you haven't seen the
book she
original,
owned
go
in
and watch
college.
that.
His nails are black edged.
Definitely watch it
and
before you watch the
orangey-brown
Dark
stains of
Crystal
nicotine in his long
series.
fingers. He turns with the calculator and bends over the open trunk.
And if you are a fan of Dark Crystal, I have had a go in VR for myself.
The black man sighs and sighs. You lack all patience.
Yeah, try to create the castle, I think it's called.
Bugger, says Hobbs, if that's his name, closing a cardboard box and spreading the old sweater over it with a quick, practiced, weirdly maternal gesture,
Or something a bit
like a
simple,
mother
more simple
adjusting
than
the
that, I'll
blanket
do.
over a sleeping child. He bangs the lid down and tugs at it, checking to see that it's
See if I can draw this pattern here.
Waste my blood.
First, we need a circle. A
He
large
hauls the
circle.
driver's side door open with a startling creak. She glimpses filthy mouse-colored upholstery and an overflowing ashtray that protrudes from the dash like a little drawer. She will come, Hobbs, the black man protests, but without much force. The one called Hobbs folds himself into the driver's seat, yanks the door shut, and glares at them through the dirty side
Okay,
window.
so we got a circle.
The car's engine starts with an antique asthmatic shudder. and he pulls it into gear,
And
still
we'll try and do
glaring,
the
and pulls away
triangle
toward
with my
Portobello.
other
At the
thing.
next corner, the gray car turns right and is gone. He's a curse to know that man, says the man. Now she will come, and what am I to tell her? He turns to Case. You disappointed him. He thought that you were her. Who? The buyer, agent for a Japanese collector, the blonde boy says to Case. It is not your fault. He has those straight across cheekbones she thinks of as Slavic, the open look that comes with them, and the sort of accent that comes with learning English here.
God, this is
Not yet too
intricate,
thoroughly.
very intricate.
Nagami, indicating the black man, is only upset. Well then, Case ventures, goodbye, and starts toward Portobello. A middle-aged woman opens a green-painted door and steps out in black leather jeans, her large dog on a lead. The appearance of this Notting Hill matron feels to Case as though it frees her from a spell. She quickens her stride, but hears footsteps behind her and turns to see the blond boy with his flapping pouch hurrying to catch up. The black man is nowhere to be seen. I walk with you, please, he says, drawing even with her and smiling as if delighted to offer her this favor. My name is Wojtek Biroshek. Call me Ishmael, she says, walking on. A girl's name? Eager and dog-like beside her, some species of weird nerd innocence that somehow she accepts. No, it's Case. Case? Actually, she finds herself explaining, it should be pronounced Casey, like the last name of the man my mother named me after, but I don't. Who is Casey? Edgar Casey, the sleeping prophet of Virginia Beach. Why does she, your mother? Because she's a Virginian eccentric. Actually, she's always refused to talk about it, which is true. And you are doing here? The market. You? Still walking. Same? Who are those men? Nagami sells to me ZX81, which is Sinclair ZX81, personal computer, circa 1980. In America was Timex 1000 same. Nagami's the big one? Dealing in archaic computer, historic calculator since 1997, has shop in Bermondsey. Your partner? No, arranged to meet. He lightly slaps the pouch at his side and plastic rattles. ZX81. But he was here to sell those calculators? Sekurta. Wonderful, yes? Nagami and Hobbs hope for combined sale. Japanese collector. Difficult, Hobbs, always. Another dealer? Mathematician, brilliant sad man, crazy for Kurta but cannot afford. Buys themselves. Didn't seem very pleasant. Case puts her facility with entirely left-field conversations down to her career of actual on-the-street cool hunting, such as it's been, and as much as she hates to call it that. She's done a bit, too. She's been dropped into neighborhoods like Dogtown, which birthed skateboarding, to explore routes in hope of finding whatever the next thing might be. And she's learned it's largely a matter of being willing to ask the next question. She met the very Mexican who first wore his baseball cap backward, asking the next question. She's that good. What does this ZX81 look like? He stops, rummages in his pouch, and produces a rather tragic-looking rectangle of scuffed black plastic, about the size of a videocassette. It has one of those stick-on keypads that somehow actually work, something Case knows from the cable boxes in the sort of motel where guests might be expected to try to steal them. That's a computer? One? They've come out into a street called Westbourne Grove now, with a sprinkling of trendy retail, and she can see a crowd down at the intersection with Portobello. What do you do with them? It's complicated. How many do you have? Many. Why do you like them? Of historical importance to personal computing, he says seriously, and to United Kingdom. Why there are so many programmers here. Why is that? But he excuses himself, stepping into a narrow laneway where a battered van is being unloaded. Some quick exchange with a large woman in a turquoise raincoat, and he is back, tucking two more of the things into his pouch. Walking on, he explains to her that Sinclair, the British inventor, had a way of getting things right, but also exactly wrong. Foreseeing the market for affordable personal computers, Sinclair decided that what people would want to do with them was to learn programming. The ZX81, marketed in the United States as the Timex 1000, cost less than the equivalent of $100, but required the user to key in programs, tapping away on that little Mattel keyboard sticker. This had resulted both in the short market life of the product and, in Wojtek's opinion, 20 years on, in the relative preponderance of skilled programmers in the United Kingdom. They had had their heads turned by these little boxes, he believes, and by the need to program them. Like hackers in Bulgaria, he adds obscurely. But if Timex sold it in the United States, she asks him, why didn't we get the programmers? You have programmers, but America is different. America wanted Nintendo. Nintendo gives you no programmers. Also, on launch of product in America, RAM expansion unit did not ship for 3 months. People buy a computer, take it home, discover it does almost nothing. A disaster. Case is pretty certain that England wanted Nintendo too and got it, and probably shouldn't be looking too eagerly forward to another bumper crop of programmers, if Wojtek's theory holds true. I need coffee, she said. He leads her into a ramshackle arcade at the corner of Portobello and Westbourne Grove, past small booths where Russians are laying out their stocks of spotty old watches, and down a flight of stairs to buy her a cup of what turns out to be the white coffee of her childhood visits to England, a pre-Starbucks Mirror World beverage resembling weak instant, bulked up with condensed milk and industrial-strength sugar. It makes her think of her father, leading her through the London Zoo when she was 10. They sit on folding wooden benches that look as though they date from the Blitz, taking tentative sips of their scalding white coffee. But she sees that there is a Michelin Man within her field of vision, its white, bloated, maggot-like form perched on the edge of a dealer's counter, about 30 feet away. It is about 2 feet tall and is probably meant to be illuminated from within. The Michelin Man was the first trademark to which she exhibited a phobic reaction. She had been 6. He took a duck in the face at 250 knots, she recites softly. Wojtek blinks. You say?
I kind of want to give up on this.
Kay says. It is a mantra.
I've got it there, but it's...
A friend of her father's, an airline pilot, had told her in her teens of a colleague of his who packed a duck on climb out from Sioux City. The windscreen shattered, and the inside of the cockpit became a hurricane. The plane landed safely, and the pilot had survived and returned to flying with shards of glass lodged permanently within his left eye. The story had fascinated Case, and eventually she had discovered that this phrase, repeated soon enough, would allay the onset of the panic she invariably felt upon seeing the worst of her triggers. It's a verbal tic. Tic? Hard to explain. She looks in another direction, discovering a stall selling what seemed to be Victorian surgical instruments. The keeper of this stock is a very old man with a high, mottled forehead and dirty-looking white eyebrows, his head sunken buzzard-like between his narrow shoulders. He stands behind a counter topped and fronted with glass, things glittering within it. Most of them seem to be displayed in fitted cases lined with faded velvet. Seeing him is offering a distraction for both herself and Wojtek, else she'd be asked to explain the duck. Case takes her coffee and crosses the aisle.
I've got all of it in there.
With splintery planking.
Bar the little
Could you tell me
extra
what
little
this
curly
is,
bits
please?
in there, but
She asks, pointing at something at random.
yeah, I think I've got
He looks at her.
most of it there.
Indicated, then back.
It's not looking great, but not bad for a doodle.
By Evans of London, circa 70.
And because we've hit our first, we've hit the hour that I normally draw for. I'm going to call an end to today's stream. Hopefully, hang on, get that paused. Hopefully you have enjoyed today's audio book. Hopefully you have enjoyed today's video of just relaxing and drawing a few patterns. Give you another quick look over what we've already done. We did squares and a few little diggy lines to sort of make a going inwards as if you could walk through that wall. That's the kind of effect I tried to go for. The circles was just how many circles I could fit on the page and see what, and some of them overlapped, and I've change them around and just doodled on them. This one here was just triangles, and I've added a few more lines here and there for just effect, but they are all triangles. And then we have some wiggly lines with a few bits of circles and a few dashes, just for effect to add that to a puzzle, add that to a pattern. And then we've got the checked pattern. I kind of messed it up a little bit, and I tried to save it with putting a few extra little lines in there. And then we go to the dark crystal and the symbol that is on the main tower. If you haven't checked that one out, guys, and you want to see more of that, definitely there are some. I've made the Dark Crystal Castle in VR, and there's an interior with 2 little characters in there as well. If you want to go and check that out. A few spoilers if you haven't seen the film, but otherwise, thanks for watching, guys. Click the links that will appear if you're watching back, and I will see you tomorrow for day 11 of Inktober. Again, if you want to check out any of these, you can check out all the streams apart from day 8, I believe. That was because of this copyright. Hopefully there won't be any copyright on this one, so you'll be able to watch it whenever you feel like. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I will let everybody know which audiobook I've been listening to. I'm kind of getting through the week, and then I'm going to sort of go back over and put it on that way, unless I get around to doing it in a moment. It is 2:30. I'm Blut084, BLUT084, art and games. Click the links that will appear. And if you want something else to watch after this, go check out the last and yesterday's Inktober video drawings, or loads more. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.